Hello, Dumaguete.
Hello, Negros Oriental.
Hello, Sillimanians around the world.
This is Joshua Soldivillo.
And this is Ronelyn Faith Vailoces-No.
You're watching
Silliman. Good evening, everyone. This is a magazine program that talks about different aspects of Silliman University.
A program initiated to discuss different matters concerning the campus by the sea. You are watching
Silliman.
Hello there, Sillimanians and friends of Silliman around the world. Daghang salamat for joining us once again tonight. And as you join us via Channel 6 Field Products and YouTube channel, of course, of the show, Facebook page namin, we bid you an excellent state of health. And Ron, it's the month of July, di ba?
Yes.
Ano ba yung ganap sa month of July? Parang nutrition month, ganon.
Nutrition month.
Di ba? Para
and a lot of birthdays.
Yes, stay healthy, ganon, mga hobbies mo, gawin mo, di ba? Physical activities, no? And usually, this also extends to parang mga leisure times natin. Oo. So, parang this reminds me of parang yung past times na nagbabasa tayo, no?
Yes.
So,
And a time to be ready for the incoming new school year also.
Correct.
Right?
And of course, sa university, ang daming ganap. A lot of activities are actually happening. And one of which is one of the highlights actually during summer, but now during the midterm season of the calendar here at Silliman University. So we have invited some friends from the English and Literature Department, of course, a part of the Silliman University National Writers Workshop. So Ron, please introduce our guests for tonight.
So our guest for tonight, let's start with the coordinator of the Silliman University National Writers Workshop, and she is also a faculty member at the senior high school. Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Kaycee Melon. Good evening, Miss Kaycee.
Miss Kaycee, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Sir Josh.
We also have here tonight the Director-in-Residence of Silliman University National Writers Workshop, Sir Danilo Francisco M. Reyes, or better known as Sir DM Reyes. Good evening,
Sir, welcome to Silliman and welcome to #Silliman.
Yes.
All right. So let's warm up our conversation, Ron. Di ba sabi ko sa'yo, parang yung mga leisure time naman, nagbabasa tayo. Okay, so may prepare tayo na poem.
Yes.
At ito yung napakamahirap. Oo. Ang title niya ay?
Trees.
Okay, trees.
I used to read this poem, Going to Kandaway, if you remember, if you're from Dumaguete, right?
Yes. And of course,
Sige.
kasi pinamemorize ito ng high school teacher natin noon eh.
Sino?
Oo.
Nakalimutan.
Absent ka nun.
Baka. Sorry naman. Hello po.
Sige, so this is Trees by Joyce Kilmer.
So let's start. I think that I shall never see
A poem lovely as a tree
a tree whose hungry mouth is pressed,
against the earth's sweet flowing breast,
a tree that looks at God all day,
and lifts her leafy arms to pray,
a tree that may in summer wear,
a nest of robins in her hair,
upon whose bosom snow has lain.
who intimate lives with rain,
Poems are made by fools like me.
but only God can make a tree. Oh, di ba? Wala lang, nagpasikat lang din tayo.
But we just read
No,
it.
of course. Di ba ang ganda nun, reminiscing high school, and parang siguro at our stage that time, wala siyang impact, no? Parang, okay, it's just a poem. But right now, as we mature,
And as we face climate change.
yes,
and all of
napaka-importante pa lang ng mga literary pieces na
Yes.
ganyan. And we will talk more about that later on. So, we have invited here our friends from the 62nd installment of the Silliman University National Writers Workshop. I'll begin with Miss Kaycee here. What is that thing that keeps you excited whenever, eto naman, parang writer's workshop season na. What's the thing that keeps you excited, Miss Kaycee?
Well, actually, when we think about the workshop, oftentimes we think about this like a summer event. But for members of the secretariat or the team, the organizing team, it's a year-long working process. So, for example, when this workshop concludes, we begin preparations for the next one. So I don't think that it's something that we are like excited about, because it's always there.
So parang part
Yeah,
na siya
it's
ng
always
ano.
been part of what we do.
I see. So parang the
Right.
end of one season hints the
The
start,
start of another one.
Okay.
It's constant. But I mean, of course, so it's, I guess I can say it's a year-long excitement.
Oh, gusto ko yung
Right?
year-long
Year-long
excitement.
excitement.
365 and one
Yes,
days.
we're always excited.
Yeah. I like that spirit.
Thank you very much for that, Miss Kaycee. Now, Sir Dian, can you tell us a brief history of the SUNWW?
Yes. This is the 62nd edition of the workshop, and the first one was held in 1962.
Wow.
The founders, very prominent professors here in Silliman University, were Dr. Edilberto and Edith Tiempo. And as you very well know, later on in her life, Ma'am Edith was going to be hailed as national artist of
Yes.
the Philippines. The greater significance of the workshop is that this is the first in the country, and if you look at Asia as well, it claims that premier role as a writing workshop, assisting writers in the creation of literature. A year or two later, the University of the Philippines would follow suit.
Wow.
So definitely the inspiration came from the Tiempos.
The Tiempos.
I am also told that even as the UP Writers Workshop followed suit, it wasn't really a consistent thing. You will know that from 1962 to the very present, there hasn't been any 1 year when the workshop was not staged. And if you consider that the 12 fellows that we have today, at some point it was even bigger. I guess in my time, I won't tell you when that was, because that's
Mamaya na
going
lang.
to date me.
Behind the camera.
Yes.
Yeah.
We were 17 or 18 fellows, and I think at one point they were reaching like 20 or 24. So if you put all of that together, it's really a big
Right.
writing family.
From 1962.
Yeah.
Grabe.
So it's safe to say that this is the first ever national workshop in the Philippines and arguably in Asia.
Wow. O, diba? Dalawang wow na yun. Wow and wow. So, Miss Kaycee, talking about participants, and even Sir DM himself used to be one of the fellows. No? So, let's talk about the current fellows, the 2024 SUNWW fellows. Can you share to us the profile of these, and what are also parang the perks or the benefits that they get as fellows of the workshop?
Okay, well, currently, as you said, we have 12 fellows. Out of the 12, we have all the Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao
So
are
represented.
represented.
Oh,
yeah. Although, of course, that's not like a major concern during the screening. That's something that in the NCCA they want to know if the region if the regions are like a concern for selecting the fellows. But actually, the screening process is a blind process. So we don't really look at where the fellows came from. The screeners look at the merits of the works that they have submitted.
Right.
So, but for this year, it just so happened that, and I think consistently for the other years also, we've had fellows from Luzon, from Visayas, and from Mindanao. So, for example, now we have like fellows from, like a fellow from Baguio, fellow from Quezon City, for example. We have fellows who are Sillimanians, and then also fellows who are from Jensen. Or
How do you qualify to become a fellow? Aside from, of course, you have to write a certain piece, no? Do you have requirements like age-wise, experience-wise, education-wise? How do you screen your fellows?
well, age-wise, I think 18 or, but I remember there was one time we had like a senior high school student apply.
Wow, very inclusive.
Yeah, so we don't really focus on those things. Just submit a good work, and then you will be accepted.
That's
right?
nice. No?
Okay. Now, Sir DM, can you for us, for the non-participating audience of or non-participating what you call people of the workshop, can you paint us a picture on what goes on with the workshop? So day
Activities.
one, what do you usually do? Something like that.
Right. I guess the bigger picture is writing, the kind of writing that we do. There, different people are inclined to write different things. If you put all of those together, the best of it qualifies to be part of Philippine literature. And we also know after a long, long time that writing has to be planned, writing has to be helped or assisted so that your artistic vision is realized. So this is really very creative and very generous of Silliman to come up with a platform where you can bring the writers and they can be helped to refine their projects. So in essence, that is what we do in the workshop. Now, the fact that it is a workshop means that sometimes, it can be painful. Sometimes it requires a lot of hard work and it really makes you sweat. And this comes by way of the comments that are made by the panelists. So we invite, I think the Tiempos thought that it wasn't just going to be an encounter with them, the two of them, but they were going to bring in the best writers in the country as well.
Wow.
So that their practices, the strategies, the secrets of their writing could be shared to these younger people who are aspiring to write. But as I tell you along the way, how to convey all of those tips, how to make these things work, sometimes it can be a painful, heartbreaking process for the writers. So some of them cry.
Wow.
Some of them at some point say that they're going to stop writing altogether. But in general, I think one of the things that has to be assured is you have a group of panelists who can accommodate in a gentle way this process of helping out. And I think that is one of the trademarks of the Silliman Writers Workshop. If you had the privilege of knowing Ma'am Edith, Dr. Edith Tiempo, you will know that she can say the toughest things in a gentle way. And not that we want to imitate it, but I think it has become the trademark of the workshop.
Parang model.
Yes.
That's wonderful. So in other words, Sir DM, it's a very personal process din, no? As a person, because of course as a writer, you draw inspiration from your human experiences, and I just find the narration as very powerful, no? Transformative kumbaga, no? We're just going to pause for a short break, but when we come back, let's talk about products of the workshops that have also kind of blazed a way for their names, and at the same time, let's delve deeper into the contribution of the workshop in the Philippine literary community and beyond. Friends, all of that and more when #Silliman returns. Please stay with us.
And I found my spark in performing. My love for music and theater grew even bigger because SUJHS made sure that I find my own voice. Here, we do not just grow academically, but we are encouraged to showcase our unique talents and creativity in any form possible. From making a plain canvas come to life, singing your heart out on stage, and busting to moves on the dance floor, SUJHS will definitely make your light shine through.
Welcome back, and you are still watching #Silliman Friends. We're still joined by our director and coordinator of the Silliman University National Writers Workshop. And before we took a short break, we asked them about the products already of the workshop na more or less, no? Probably already wrote a book and it became a hit, no? So meron na bang ganon na stories, Sir DM?
Alright. Let me name, of course, I'm thinking, how does it feel if DM Reyes forgets to name you as an example?
So may
of the
disclaimer
best?
na lang, may
Alright.
disclaimer.
But the very first workshop, among those that the Tiempos picked out to take part in the workshop, is the great Filipino novelist Wilfrido Noliedo. He was one of the first novelists to gain publication in the United States. His novel, But for the Lovers. Incidentally, Mr. Noliedo was a contemporary of Professor Cesar Ruiz Aquino. They were together in the first batch.
So same same year.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. And every batch has a number of star writers, but I am particularly proud to say that Miguel Sijuco, who has published 2 novels internationally, when he came to Silliman and decided that he will go to Columbia University, he had to come back here to seek the endorsement of Dr. Edith Tiempo. From Columbia University, he ended up publishing 2 novels internationally acclaimed. The recent one has Salman Rushdie providing the blurb for his novel. The new series called Penguin Southeast Asia has a number of writers, not only Filipinos, but Filipino writers who had taken part in the writers' workshop. So I think this is really a big achievement because the original goal to create literature for the country has been transcended.
Yes.
What is being produced now is globally competent literature.
Grabe yung contribution, Ron, no?
Yeah, that's true, Josh. Now, let's talk about this season, Miss Kaycee. Who are the mentors and facilitators for the 62nd National Writers Workshop?
So for this year, of course, we have our director in residence, Sir DM Reyes. And then we have, for this week, we have 3 writers. So we have Exie Abola, John Labella, and our very own Ian Casocot. And then for the second week, we have coming in Richel Dorotan, Marjorie Evasco, and Susan Lara. And of course, also helping us is Cesar Aquino, who has been with the university for the longest time.
So, in a sense, this is a 2-week-long workshop, right?
Right. So thank you for that, Miss Kaycee. I'm just interested, since this is the 62nd installment, what makes this year different, or if I may ask, special, no? Or do you have the same activities through the years, or paiba-iba siya ng theme? Meron ba tayong tinatawag na themes, kumbaga? Like there's a theme in focus, halimbawa about environment, or yung iba naman parang human experiences. Meron ba ganon, Sir DM?
Maybe it helps if we do a bit of history. When the Tiempos decided that the workshop was going to be a regular offering or enticement of the university, They had just come back from the United States, and the education, the literary education that they got from Iowa, was alongside of modern literature. So can you imagine in 1962, people were wondering what is modern literature, and alongside of that, what is a modern way of appreciating literature, of reading it, of making sense of it. And the Tiempos had something very particular in mind. They said, we want our writers to create modern Philippine literature. Now, to answer your question, it's a tradition that we try to maintain. To come here is to make wonderful discoveries about what a modern way of writing is, what a modern sensibility is in terms of literature. But this is already 2024, and you have changing concerns as well.
Right.
So from modern, we go into postmodern. We're going into the world of the hyper-real and the virtual. And even as we talk right now, we seem to be grappling what's going to be our attitude concerning AI.
Correct.
All right. The other thing is that the National Commission for Culture and the Arts has a mandate that literary workshops should encourage the creation of Philippine literature in other languages, in the many diverse languages that we have. So along the way, it's not really new as in done only right now, but of recent concern is the need to address those two things. While there is a modern flavor informing the workshop, carrying on the Tiempo legacy, we have to respond to what comes after the modern, and to see if that can be expressed beautifully in terms of the writing. We try to explore and to accommodate that in the workshop. I hope this is not a long answer.
Sure.
Just one
Take your
more.
time, sir.
Okay.
We're just listening and
Yes.
getting a lot of insightful things from you.
Yes. In the old days, the workshop used to be accused of being the bastion of English writers only, or writers in English.
Okay.
But because of the new NCCA mandate, we are now accommodating, for instance, the Sugilanon, which is the form of the short story in the languages of the Visayas and Mindanao. And so we bring in fellows who are possibly writing in their mother tongue, bringing their works to be translated so that those who do not speak their mother tongue can make sense of the literature that they bring into the workshop. So you have all of these three things: the modern, the postmodern, and then what is culturally rooted, which we have to accommodate in the workshop.
Sir DM, I just want to quickly expand on one thing that you've mentioned, which is AI, no? Accommodating AI. So do you also have sessions addressing ethical issues perhaps, or let's say preferences, or meron mang ganon?
My sense is that the topic of AI is going to come up more frequently than ever.
Yes.
But to go back to an important question that you have raised, the idea of ethos is something that many of our panelists have brought in. I don't know if you will find this strange or totally, an outlier. We had a poem this morning which has to do with grieving. Grieving for people whom you have lost, for loved ones, but also grieving for land that has been usurped or taken away from an indigenous community. And one panelist says, there is an ethos to grieving, to mourning. I guess what he wanted to say, among many other things, you hear people purportedly delivering a eulogy
Yeah.
and say, oh, I'm so sad that so and so died. He was the one who helped me to become a millionaire.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, it's about me, me, myself, and
Okay.
there's nothing more about the
The
dead
person.
person.
Yes.
So we were very struck by that there is an ethos, that there is a moral code that you
Right.
need to follow when you grieve. And I guess we have that from issue to issue that is brought up in the writings which the
Yeah.
fellows present.
So what I'm getting, Sir DM, is a spectrum, no?
Yeah.
When it comes to that ethos you've been talking about.
No, thank you very much for all your insights, Sir DM. Now, Joshua asked this question before we took a break. How does the workshop contribute to the broader literary community in the Philippines and beyond? Sir DM mentioned about postmodernism and modernity and the cultural affiliation of the writers, no? So, Miss Kaycee, can you answer that specific question?
Okay.
And I think Sir DM can also do that.
So maybe Sir DM can add, because he was a product of the
Yeah.
workshop. But from my perspective as an organizer of the workshop, when we see the fellows come together, you really see that it fosters and it nurtures a community of writers,
Yes.
which in the discussions that we have listened to during the sessions, I found out, I realized that community is very important in a writer's life. Because, like for example, there was a fellow the other day who was saying that the work that she submitted for the workshop was a draft, and she even considered submitting it to ChatGPT just so she can get a feedback, because she had no one immediate to her who can give her that feedback. And so it was really during her time here in the workshop that she was able to hear real people, real writers talking about her work. And I think that's one of the most important aspects of the workshop, of any writer's workshop, in that it creates a community.
That's nice.
Even if the community only lasts for even if the workshop only lasts for 2 weeks,
Yeah.
I mean, the community flourishes and continues even beyond that.
Yeah.
That's so nice. I'm touched by that, no? Genuinely, because last week, Rodba, we invited our friends from the elementary department, and one of our conclusions is that it really takes a village to raise a child.
Yes.
I think the same goes for writers. It takes a village to make one.
Yes.
Sir DM.
Sir DM.
All right. To me, Philippine literature is like building a house with many wings. So you have the poets, you have the short story writers, you have the playwrights.
Yeah, hindi na nila tanungin kung saan yung bubong. Sino yung pinto.
I think
Yeah, go
that,
ahead,
no.
sir. Go ahead.
If you bring in the question of language, then you have a house with many wings or with many parts. And you have to make sure that the writing is responsible writing, that it will deliberately contribute to the strengthening of our culture. The efforts can be random, the efforts can be competitive, but you should be, it is amazing that the gesture to bring all of these people together to build a program of responsible writing, that the idea first sprung from here, from Silliman University. So when we talk of achievements, the achievements are not only in terms of who became big and stellar. I think the foremost achievement is that the original idea for community building in the world of writing could only come from here, from the imagination and the zeal of the tiempos, and by extension, Silliman University. I was telling the fellows that it's getting more and more expensive to to go to what we call our literary Dumaguete. The fact that after 60 years, after 6 decades, Silliman is still generously disposed to make sure that this thing happens. I think is an act of generosity that cannot be matched elsewhere. And I'd like to think that that is a big achievement to the credit of the university.
And we're so fortunate, by the way, that we have very active people like you who are also passionate enough to keep the wheel turning, right?
So the legacy really lives
Yes.
on, right?
No? So, congratulations to everyone, to all members of the team. We're running out of time, but I really want to ask this from you because, of course, through the seasons of the workshop, you have met culturatis, literatis. I'm pretty sure you've been learning a lot of things. So if there's one thing that really struck you the most or the most invaluable lesson you have encountered so far in your Silliman University National Writers Workshop stint, what would it be? I'll start with Miss Kaycee.
Well, I go back to what I said earlier, like the importance of community.
Community.
That's really, for me, because I see that. I mean, they say that writing is a solitary act, but actually
It shouldn't
it's
be.
not.
It doesn't have to be, yeah?
It is a community, yeah.
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 I like that.
Sir DM.
Sir DM.
When she was still around, Ma'am Edith used to say, if it is a good thing, people are likely to see it. And so she would just say, keep doing something good in the way you write, in the way you live your life. Keep doing something good because if you push yourself to create what is good, people are not likely to miss it. Some people can close their eyes, some people can ignore it or feel envious about it. But if it is a good thing, people are not likely to miss it.
Keep doing something good.
Right.
Oh my goodness. All right. Keep doing something good.
A lot of realizations with
Yes.
this conversation, Joshua.
Right.
But before we really end this conversation, I'd like to ask for your pieces of advice to our budding writers
Oo.
who
Baka kami
might
din
be
ma-inspire.
who might be doubtful about
Eavesdropping
their
this
talents,
conversation
who
right
might
now.
be hesitant on continuing, writing. Yes.
All right. Kaycee, would you like to be the first
Well,
this time around?
this time I tell my students this because a lot of them are intimidated with the writing and the use of language also. But I think the advice is just to keep writing. If you feel like you're not good yet as a writer, just keep writing and find a community who can help you so you can be better eventually. Yeah.
Until you write something good.
Yes, until you.
For the end.
I'd like to echo what Kaycee has just said. We can feel alone and we can feel strange. If you're all by yourself, you think what I'm going through is something strange. But if you join a community of writers, you find out that what you are trying to do is shared by others. What you are going through is something that they have gone through. Isn't it that when we read a good poem or a good short story or a film, we say, I never thought that someone out there is going to share what I have been through or what I am going through. And I think that that's very reassuring if you join a community. So one way by which you can join a community is to aspire to be part of the workshop. Maybe the 63rd, the 64th, the 65th, the 75th workshop, who knows?
The
And then,
500.
yes, you'll come home to a
Yes,
community.
and we look forward
Yeah.
to creating more or expanding rather the communities to more people, right? All right, so at this point, we'll give them time, Ron, to say thank you to all the people behind the 60-second SUNWW. Miss Kaycee, your turn.
Yeah, so we kept on talking about community earlier, and I think it's important to remember how over the years the community in Dumaguete has actually helped make this workshop happen. So for this year, we have a lot of sponsors that we would like to thank. First is, of course, the National Commission for Culture and the Arts, who, of course, without NCCA, we would not be able to continue what we do here in the workshop.
Sure.
And then we also would like to thank the Anthropology Museum, as one who will be hosting us actually tomorrow. And then we also have American Spaces, Sir Jomar Abrio of the Cultural Council for the Culture and the Arts, the National Museum of the Philippines, Dumaguete. We have Lab Asanahayahay, Jan Santana of Adorno, In Peace Foundation, and then Metro Post and Maripas Montaño of Wuthering Heights. So, and of course,
Yes. The final word of gratitude goes to Silliman University, that you have not stopped extending this opportunity to writers from all over the Philippines for 62 years. And everyone is optimistic that it will continue for in the future. If you think of all of this not only in terms of resources, but also in terms of hard work and dedication and passion, Kaycee's team tirelessly carrying out the requisites of the workshop. The fellows and the panelists can only be thankful to Silliman University. So thank you to you for allowing us to share in this mission of forming writers whose projects will contribute to the enrichment of our culture and our national literature.
The pleasure is ours, Sir DM.
On
Thank
that note,
you.
once again, daghang kayong salamat, sir. And of course, Miss Kaycee, no, for being on the show. And remember, guys, keep doing something good. See you next week, and to God be the glory. Hey there, Sillimanians and friends of Silliman around the world. Daghang salamat for joining us again tonight. And of course, support our Facebook page. It's called #Silliman. Don't forget to like, share, comment your favorite poem. Comment nyo na dyan. And of course, we also have our YouTube channel. It's so called #Silliman. Don't forget to click the notification bell for you to be updated with our recent posts. See you there.
And of course, catch us at Channel 6 Field Products every Monday at 8 p.m. Replays will be shown every Tuesday before the noontime news and every Saturday after the noontime news. This has been Ronelyn by Vailoces-No.
And Joshua Soldivillo. Kita-kits next week
Only here on #Silliman.